Sir, tomorrow is the 25th year of the demolition of Babri Masjid. How do you see these 25 years and what are the reasons behind the demolition of the Babri Mosque?
Sir, actually this is not 25 years. The whole thing started in 1986. It is now more than 30 years. Because Babri Masjid we cannot consider in isolation. Babri Masjid was linked to Shahbano legislation. The legislation which was brought to reverse the judgment of the Supreme Court. On 15th of January, the then Prime Minister announced at Siri Fort Auditorium that this winter session of Parliament is going to start on 5th February. And on the first day of the session, a bill will be brought to reverse the judgment. But the fallout was so severe, the blowback was so severe that government started looking for some issue which can dilute this adverse
backlash and all this.
Adverse backlash. And then the bill was to be introduced on 5th February.
Yeah.
There were still 5, 7, 8, 10 days.
Yeah.
So they had to they thought of doing something, and then this issue came. This unlocking of the gate was organized. Naturally, government got it unlocked, and this whole issue was pending judicial scrutiny from the time when first time the idols were placed inside the mosque. As an administrative measure, this was the government moved an application in the court, and the court declared it a prohibited place and prevented Muslims specifically from entering a radius of 200 meters from the place from the mosque. So this was there, but people were not really interested. There was hardly any interest shown by the people in this issue. This was in the court, people knew about it. But once locks were removed, as the case of a single, say an individual's case, was transformed into a national issue, into an issue linked to the preservation of the distinct communal identity of the Muslims. Likewise, Ayodhya, which was purely a local issue, it also assumed national importance. So this happened in 1986. It did not happen. What happened 25 years back was the logical culmination of what was done in 1986. So this is now more than 30 years old. And I don't know if I said this in that the test of the leadership is, the leader is not manager. Leaders are not managers. Leaders must have the vision to see. You must have seen in the districts, the bureaucrats normally, they have a term of 2-3 years. Even if there is a problem, they keep it under the carpet. They are not, let these 2 years pass peacefully. What happens afterwards? They are not bothered about it. But a leader cannot afford to adopt that attitude. This is the difference between the, this is not expected of a leader.
So you mean to say Muslim leadership lacked vision and they played into the hands of the government?
Muslim leadership has always lacked vision, unfortunately, because I will tell you, this is a book about Alimia. The name is Sawane Mufakkir-e Islam, the thinker of Islam. Either आप या तो आप मुक़ल्लिद हो सकते हैं या आप मुफक्किर हो सकते हैं. It is impossible for a person to be a thinker and to be a blind follower of the ancestors at the same time. Impossible. आप या तो मुक़ल्लिद होंगे,
either you are a follower or you are a just thinker.
You are a thinker. Yeah. Thinker के लिए तो आपने कोई जगह ही नहीं छोड़ी है. जो कोई आप जरा गौर कीजिए, सर सैयद काफिर, मौलाना अबुल कलाम आजाद काफिर, अल्लामा इकबाल के 6 लेक्चर, on reconstruction of religious thought in Islam. Everybody praises his poetry. But when it comes to these 6 lectures, then he became a kafir.
Yeah.
Anybody who thinks is immediately labeled as kafir. So either you can be a muqallid or you can be a mufakkir. You can't be both at the same time.
Yeah. So these people
are responsible.
Into the hands
it is the personal law board which they did not play into anybody's hands. They were looking for a small, these are the people who do not know the requirements of democracy, but they want a share in power. And the requirements of democracy they are not ready to fulfill. They are not ready to visit the hut of a poor man. They are not ready to undertake all those labors, but they need a share. They want that Prime Minister should recognize them. The people in the government, they should recognize them. This can happen only if they create a nuisance value, which they have created by making all India Muslim person. You go to Zakir Nagar area, there are at least 100 boards who claim that they are all India Muslim organization. And they claim to represent the total population, Muslim population of India. Why? I mean, in a democracy, if you want to be active in public affairs, there are certain requirements. You need to cultivate a constituency. When you cultivate a constituency, then you have to undertake hard work.
So you mean to say basically because of these their petty interests, they are responsible for the situation which is
101%
country is facing, which the community is facing.
They were responsible. It was this section of the Muslim population. I am not talking about the ordinary Muslim.
Obviously.
Ordinary Muslim is a victim of their machinations. These are the people. You go to any Muslim institution, they don't teach you history. देवबंद इतना बड़ा famous institution, जरा पूछिए कुछ history भी पढ़ाते. What is the difference between a human being and an animal? The only difference between an animal and a human being is that animal does not have and a man has the consciousness, awareness of history. This is the only difference, because we have that brain. We learn from the experience of others. These people, they discourage, it is not part of their syllabus at all. You go to any of these institutions, some people from Nadwa were sitting here. I raised this question. No, Nadwa mein padhaya jata hai. I said, whose book is part of the syllabus in Nadwa? Some Nadwi. I said, ये हिस्ट्री कहते हैं, कहीं और भी पढ़ाई जाती है वो हिस्ट्री. अपनी मर्जी से जो जी चाहे तुम वो लिख लो और उसको कहो कि हम हिस्ट्री पढ़ाते हैं. Selected writings अपनी to suit your own purpose. They don't teach history. That is the reason why they don't teach history. So now these people, you have deprived the whole community of their thinking abilities. Taqleed karo.
Just follow.
In religion, you cannot raise any question. On the other hand, in the Quran, there are more than 700 verses asking me not only to acquire the knowledge, not only to cultivate curiosity, to ask questions, but to meditate on it, to think about it, to use my brains. And in one particular verse, وَيَجْعَلُ الرِّجْسَ عَلَى الَّذِينَ لَا يَعْقِلُونَ. And God throws dirt on those who do not use their intelligence. In 2 verses, Quran says that the people in the hell will say, if we had used our brains and we had listened to the good advice, then this would not have been our destination. This is the teaching of the Quran. وَقَالُوا كُنَّا لَوْ نَسْمَعُ أَوْ نَاقِلُ. If we had listened properly to the good counsel, good advice, and we have used our brains, then we would not have been burning in the hellfire. Quran tells those who do not use their brain, they are most likely to land in hell. But here, I do not know. But in fact, it is not very difficult to understand. I'm not quoting a full ayat. I'm quoting only a line from a ayat. It's very interesting. وَيَدَعَ أَنْهُمْ إِسْرَهُمْ وَالْأَغْلَالَ الَّتِي كَانَتْ عَلَيْهِمْ. The mission of the Prophet. Repeat 3-4 times it has been explained. The mission of the Prophet is وَيُعَلِّمُهُمُ الْكِتَابَ وَالْحِكْمَةَ وَيُزَكِّي, to give them the knowledge of the book and the wisdom, and to sanctify them. When one is sanctified? By blowing some mantra on him? By throwing some water on him? No. One becomes sanctified when one gains knowledge, and that knowledge enables him to acquire wisdom, and it is wisdom which gives you the capacity. When it's not just question of right and wrong, even what is right, several options are available. Every option is right. But a man who has wisdom will choose an option which will have long-term beneficial effects. But apart from this, Quran says, وَيَدَعَ أَنْهُمْ, only in one ayat, وَيَدَعَ أَنْهُمْ إِسْرَهُمْ وَالْأَغْلَالَ الَّتِي كَانَتْ عَلَيْهِمْ. And the mission of the Prophet is to liberate mankind from the chains, iron chains, which they are wearing in their necks and in their legs. To liberate mankind, आज़ाद कराना उनको जंजीरों से जिसमें इंसानियत बंधी हुई है. What are these chains? This is the clergy who try to become God on earth, and they tell you that this is religion. Whereas Quran asks you to develop your own capacity to understand the religion. और उसी में अल्लामा इकबाल ने कहा, क्यों खालिक व मखलूक में हायल रहे पर्दे, पीरान कलीसा को कलीसा से हटा दो. Now the problem is that clergy can survive and thrive only in a community which is by and large ignorant and illiterate. This ignorance and illiteracy which we find among the common Muslims, this has not come on its own. This is a religion where acquisition of knowledge was made obligatory on the first day of the ordainment of the Prophet, whereas offering prayers, namaz, that became obligatory in the 11th year of the ordainment of the Prophet. Why? The mosques are full, but why Muslims, why Muslims are without education? Because these people know that if they become educated, then their hold over the community will dissipate.
As you said that visionless Muslim leadership and their petty interests are responsible for the demolition of Babri Masjid. But how do you see the role of the other leadership of the other community?
I will tell you one thing. When you talk about the Muslims, then the guidance comes from Quran. Quran has told me in clear terms, Ya ayyuhal lazina amanu alaykum anfusakum, la yazurrukum man dalla idha tadaytum. O you who believe, take care of your own actions, of your own doings, of your own saying. Take care of your own souls. If you do that, then those who are on the wrong path can never harm you. Either this promise of God is false, or if I hit a wall, then I must pause, think about it, what wrong I have committed, why I did not see that there was a wall.
Mistake was committed, but the other side, the other community, what role they played? Did they play?
Take care of your own souls. Because again I have been told, and I am saying this, normally I won't, but when you are taking this in the context of Muslims, then I say please take your guidance from Quran. I have been told that if somebody does evil to you, even then you do good to him, and then you will see that the person whom you thought he is your enemy will become your intimate friend.
How do you see this issue being raked up for the 2019 elections? Will this be a political issue in 2019
I think
elections?
if you stop raising it, the other party will be compelled not to mention it. If you stop reacting, simply.
I think for last 3 years, one community is
Only-
not reacting, but there are
Only
voices.
now, but the damage which has already been done.
I'm talking about
it
now.
will take
What
time.
effect will
It will take time for people to forget all those things which were said.
I'm talking about now. How do you see about
Now,
the 2019
you know,
elections?
the attitudes are not shaped in 2 or 3 years. 1986 Shabano, how it was going to affect the Hindus if the judgment of the Supreme Court was being reversed?
How do you see the present?
No, please try to understand what I am saying. How it was going to affect the Hindus if the judgment in the Shabano case was being reversed? It had, if there was any loser, it was only the Muslim woman. Why the Hindus reacted in this manner? Because all their memories of the partition of India, the speeches made at that time, the emphasis on we are different, all those memories of separatist speeches, they were revived. Attitudes are not shaped in 1 year or 2 years or 3 years. It takes time. Salman Rushdie, for instance, I am giving you an example. Without reading, Khushwant Singh writes few lines in Hindustan Times. Shahabuddin takes that clipping and sends it to the then Prime Minister, and he bans the book next day. Next day, after India banned it, there was a huge demonstration in Pakistan saying what? India, secular country, bans the book, and this Muslim country has not banned the book. How many people were killed next day in Pakistan? Do you remember?
No, I don't.
More than 17.
Oh my.
And crores of property worth crores of rupees was burned down.
So one last question.
Huh?
It is being said that the present BJP leadership is very aggressive. How do you see under this aggressive leadership, what will be the future?
I
of
do
this
not know. I do not know what we mean by aggressiveness.
Thank you, Arif Sahab.